World Baseball Classic this week as the first matchup this Thursday. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited for all of the competition as all of the world collides together to join us in talking about it, and also in spring training mode for Major League Baseball. Really excited about it. Former catcher Michael McKenry. Before we get into the heap of things here, Michael, First off, spring training. In your career, when you've heard of pitchers, catchers report and spring training right up and around the corner, I've spoke with a lot of former major leaguers, and a lot of them, it's like being a kid at Christmas. You couldn't wait for the season to start. Beautiful weather. You can smell the green grass, and it's just, you can't get enough of it. Arizona, Florida. What came to your mind as a former pro when you heard spring training right there around the corner, and what that prepared you for the season?
I mean, you think about the Super Bowl, and as soon as that Super Bowl ends, it's baseball season. And that's the cool part. And it's like the first day of school. You got to get your outfit, you got to get your stuff, get ready to go. And you get to kind of get tested to see, how did all the offseason work really turn out? Where do I stack up? What's new going into the season? Because right when the season ends, about a week afterwards, you write down, all right, what all do I need to work on? Where am I going into next season, whether I'm a free agent or what have you? And that's when it all comes together. And it starts with a pitcher and catcher. Me being a catcher, I think that's the coolest part, because you go there and it's like that immediate family, right? It's the close-knit group that kind of bonds together, and then everybody else comes in. Nowadays, they kind of all show up early, but it's special. I think it's a chance, maybe not like the Steelers where they actually stay in dorm rooms, but it's a chance to really get to know your teammates and kind of dig in. And I feel like it's where you really build your culture.
In your career, was there ever a guy that when you had pitchers, catchers relationships, because you kind of spoke the same brief languages, right? He came in with all this filthy stuff. You knew where to place it, command with it, and say, listen, this guy's going to try to crowd the plate, or he's going to try to push on the outside side. So was there ever a guy in your career that you enjoyed that said, you know what, this guy gets it. This guy's got filthy stuff, and I just love catching for him, because every time it's like I'm watching the show before my very eyes.
Yeah, the challenge was figuring out their personality. I never threw a game to the scouting report. I threw it to their personality before I ever went to the philosophy. So I enjoyed catching everybody, whether they were a psychopath on the mound or whether they were a guy that was playing wiffle ball in the backyard where they really had to manipulate their pitches, change their arm angles, mess with those guys' timing at the plate. I think that's the joy of baseball. You can see Altuve at 5'6", then literally walk just to the other dugout and see Judge at 6'8" and 280. So I think this game is a special game across the board. When you think about the different types of dudes that can play it, you can be fat, you can be skinny, you can be tall, but if you can pitch, you just have a different reality. You're out there on that outing by yourself, all alone, and a lot of those guys just can put it together at the snap of the fingers, throw on that cape, and go out and just punch tickets. And that's the best part. And I'd say some of my favorite days and some of my favorite guys to catch are the guys that kind of have no chance at maybe winning a game. I'll never forget, I caught a Latin kid named Flande. That was his last name. I can't even try to pronounce his first name. We're facing Max Scherzer the year the Nationals win the World Series. And they have a stacked lineup. There's no chance we're going to win this game. Yeah, we ended up winning. He threw 6 scoreless. We got Tommy Kahnle, who got his first save ever. And now he's still pitching the big leagues. That's the coolest part, being a catcher out of the game, watching my guys still do it, but seeing guys that maybe couldn't stack up, they're getting that one opportunity and they seize it. It's nothing better.
Oh, absolutely, man. And to be able to build those relationships with your entire pitching staff, that's got to be fun to do, because you see their stuff. You kind of know of like, okay, what are some of the things that we can tweak and adjust? Because you're going to have guys like, if you got Bryce Harper up and on the plate, and he's going to crowd it, and he's going to be digging for the long ball, you're going to want a guy that's going to throw the filthy stuff that's going to keep him up and on his heels and such. So yeah. That's the best part on it.
No doubt.
I see you rocking the U.S. hat, man. I'm excited just as you are. Here's the thing. We just saw – there you go.
Got them both on, baby.
Look
Red,
at
white,
that.
blue. Hey, after that hockey performance, I mean, we got to step up. We got to get that world stage back on the baseball side.
So I was thinking about this. So I just saw the power rankings for the World Baseball Classic, and they've got the United States up in at 2. Yeah, that number 2. But I will say, watching the Olympics just from the start of the year, it was a great Olympics, man. The Norwegians really gave it their all in Italy, but even the United States came around and they competed the best way they could. And so when I look at the World Baseball Classic, my big thing is it may be challenging to integrate this into the Olympic world because of how long our season is. And your stars, when you take them out of the lineups and you're bringing in your young kids from the farm system, it's only just for a matter of time until they come back. But I love this stage because there's more competition and you get a chance to showcase a lot of the international pool. Now we got Brazil, we got Panama, we got so many other countries now. I mean, there's no better baseball type play than when you're playing and representing for your country. And then you're just seeing how talented our international pool is just getting year after year, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. First off, I'm a USA baseball guy through and through. Been a part of their organization since 2009 when I got offered to play with the World Cup team. Ended up not being able to go because my organization wouldn't let me. But now I coach for USA Baseball, going on my 5th year with 18U. It's special, man. And we always talk about this is US. We're always playing for us. And we're in the gold medal business. And the fact that they lost in 2023, there's a little bit of a revenge tour here. And yeah, I'm with you. I would love to see, just like hockey, them take 2 weeks and let these guys go play. Whether that'll happen or not, I don't know. But I think it would be incredible to watch. I mean, for example, Japan's not having 3 or 4 guys that are their studs on the mound throw, one of them being Ohtani. And that stinks, right? That stinks watching the best players in the world not being able to go out and do their thing. Skubal only throwing 1 game, and it's against Brazil. And you want to see the best versus the best. I mean, we all remember Ohtani on the mound, his teammate Trout at the plate, and that's how it ends.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most epic at-bats. We will talk about that at-bat for a long, long time because it's country versus country. And the one difference between US and I think the Olympics, to your point, really brought this to light. We have been kind of on the back burner. The other countries have been winning, and we've not been winning as many golds. This year we went out in the Winter Olympics, won the most golds. We won the most medals we've ever won. If I'm correct, I believe I am. And we're kind of bringing that back, that dominance. And I think that's what we have to do, because every country, when they win, they throw a complete celebration across the board in their country. Here, it's like high fives, shaking the hands, and then let's move on to the next thing. I think it's shifting. I think we're coming together in a different way. And I think putting together this dream team in the red, white, and blue this year, it's a special team. And I'm excited to see what they're capable of, because it's going to be a lot of fun, because we can thump, we can run, we have good defense. The pitching's off the charts. We got my boy Skeens going. It is going to be an absolute insane tournament.
I mean, wouldn't we love to top the 2017 gold medal team, right? I mean, that team was special. And listen, watching arguably the best baseball player I've watched in my lifetime with Buster Posey win World Series championships.
Dude, I respect you even more for saying that, because yes, he gets overlooked constantly. The guy was such a high IQ player, right? He made his career longer, right? Well said, man. Well said. Yeah. I completely agree. Because I mean, I came up playing against him, battle after battle. This guy was always a step ahead of just about everybody, and he was so good for his staff.
Oh, absolutely. And to be an Olympic gold medalist, an Olympian, is also something that's like you just can't imagine about just how big that recognition can be for anybody. Because I mean, we play competitively in the States every year, but it's when you go and you showcase it in the world, it makes a huge difference up and in there. So
well said.
Yeah. And Japan wins it 3 times. Dominican wins it once. And listen, my big thing is Dominican always has such a stacked lineup, but I question pitching, because do they have the right guys that can get you a full length 6 or 7? And then with US, I mean, we had the dominances of not only just the lineups and our rotation, but the defensive stuff, because you got to lessen the errors. You got to be focused. So is there ever a team in this tournament that you kind of look at that might be a little bit of a pain in the butt to play with because of the fact of they got the right guys for situational hitting, getting runners up and on base, and finding ways to score them. And then the entire one-on-one matchups between the pitcher and batter. Is there a team there you kind of look and say, this team might scare me a little bit if I faced them tomorrow?
I mean, Mexico.
Yes.
Mexico is one of those teams that just kind of lays back and then they'll strike because they're a team that they have a lot of veterans. They don't care about pitch counts. They don't care if they throw 3 days in a row. You know, a lot of the guys in Japan and Dominican and Venezuela, all those dudes are trying to prepare for the season. But Mexico, Italy, Netherlands, all those teams are a little scary because there's a lot of guys that this is it for them. Mm-hmm. This means more than anything else, whether they're on their way out of baseball in the States or whether they're coming back just for this. It's the only thing they train for. But we got a guy like that in Kershaw, right? I think it's important because there's strategy in this. You want to make sure that you can cover innings. Can you protect Skeens? If he gets really good 3 innings, get him out of there. And then you can kind of throw those guys like Mason Miller, throw 103, Bednar coming in, throwing that nasty split. And that's what you got to do because I think it's really strategic how you set it up and you have to play your game. The one thing about this team I love more than the last team is we have a very different lineup. We have a lot of guys that get on base. We don't have a lot of luds. We have speed in between. We have some incredible defenders and Pete Crow Armstrong in center. So I'm excited because it's going to throw a wrinkle into, you know, the way Japan comes about it because we can take them deep. We can hit and run. We're going to be very aggressive on the bases, but we're going to do all the little things that we've never really done as USA Baseball. That's how we literally go about it 18U. We try to find guys that are very versatile and can do different things. And that's exactly what they did this year. I think they're going in to really make a statement going into the Olympics.
Yeah, Mexico, I had the same exact thing where I think they're going to be
they were scary every time in 2023, right?
And you know what? With Randy Arozarena and Rowdy Tellez in them, I mean, they were shocking a lot of people. And I was honestly rooting for them to get into that final because of the run they had. They believed in themselves and they had the right group there to make it happen. And to come down the wire was nuts.
You're exactly right.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. And the reality of it is, if you can get one of those Latin teams into the championship in Miami, it's a different animal. Like if Venezuela or Dominican make it there, you remember, and I believe it was 17.
Yeah,
man, it gets rowdy, right? But you're right. They run out of pitching. Are they going to be able to handle that? If they can handle the pitching, they have a chance because if they're hot when it comes to their lineup, I mean, it's stacked.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging. Well, I'll tell you, Michael, we're going to get into the thick of it up from here because you've had the pleasure of playing for these 3 organizations. And I know the ongoing conversation of salary cap, MLB lockout, all this stuff. And so here's my deal. I talked with many people, Logan Morrison, Jay Jackson, Justin Miller. Here's my 2 cents up on this. I even talked with a scout who's been scouting for 30 years, Pat Murphy, and he explained it the best way possible. I'm not for salary cap, and one reason is because I look more toward the owner. Because if you put something up and in place, it has to be consistent and it has to make sense. So one, the arbitration deals, they're saying get rid of that thing. Because here's the thing, Ronald Acuna, when he first hit into the league, you were going to obviously pay this kid immediately in 8 years because that's your future star. So what's the arbitration for, truthfully? And then you get the salary cap and then the floor. But it has to make sense to where the owners can spend. So I'm looking at it from the 3 organizations you played with, the Pirates, the Rockies, and then even with the Cardinals. So my biggest takeaway is I'm not opposed to the idea, but it has to make sense. But when people talk about this lockout, I said, look, they're not having as bad of a problem as NBA has because NBA is just way too pro player. They got to get their stuff straight. But with Major League Baseball, you have a chance of that because the international pool is growing and they've changed a lot of things since, even you and I with our playing days. And does it make sense to put this salary cap? And how does this affect? Because these owners, there's guys that know how to spend the money. The Dodgers, they know how to manipulate it. But as far as everyone else with the Nats, the Pirates, what's that going to do even for here in Colorado with the Mumford family? Like, what's that going to do for them?
Yeah, I mean, there's 5 teams when you look at this that don't want a salary cap, and it's the giant markets, right?
Yep.
Because they control their own destiny. And you see what the Braves have done. They have the battery, and they've been able to create $180 million that is non-shared revenue.
Right.
So there's ways that you can kind of combat this. The Braves are going to make a giant run. They have a lot of money to spend, right? Because they're making all this money outside. But what we don't talk about, it is a soft cap. So right now, the Dodgers are at $389 million going into the season, right? So they're going to get taxed. After that tax, they're right at about $589 million. All that money trickles down into the 401ks, into the pension plans, and then into the Pirates and these lower tier teams that aren't spending as much into their pocket so they can kind of come forward, right? And that's what we need to remember. These guys are paying 60% tax on their player allowance, but the Dodgers just outsmarted everybody. You can do everything they've done, but we don't talk about their tax at 15%, when in Atlanta it's 4 to 3, in Pittsburgh it's 4, in Texas it's 0, no income tax, right? So there's a big difference, right? If you play in Toronto, think about how much you have to spend two times on taxes. So like there's a lot that goes into this. I don't know if they can do anything at the top, because how do you bring it down? They're talking at 260.
Yeah.
That means bringing 5 teams below, and then there's 17 teams that haven't even gotten to 260.
Right.
So they have a lot of issues. I think the player group is going to give in the draft. I think we have to be able to trade draft picks. I think you can give a ton of money into the draft and let that just kind of go wild, kind of like NIL, make it international, to where the Pirates can go spend $10 million on a bunch of guys from international draft instead of where, hey, we got to buy these free agents, whatnot. But the Pirates are showing right now, they spent money. They're going to be at 121. They have the best farm system in baseball. It can happen with small markets. Now it's, what do they do with it? And I think we're watching the Brewers, we're watching Cleveland go to the playoffs year in, year out, with creating a culture, being willing to trade their young players that have not been established. Well, the Dodgers are doing that, plus spending, plus betting on guys. Like they just got a guy, Jack Swinski, hit 169 last year. Everybody's like, why did they get him? I'm like, well, he's a premier defender. He replaces Conforto with his at-bats. He can play all 3 outfield positions, and he's in his prime.
Yeah.
And he's hit 26 homers. It's like, yeah, they can take gambles, but why are they taking gambles on guys they don't necessarily have to? It's because they're trying to win now, period.
Yeah. And
right. And I think that's the idea. I think there's got to be a reward for winning. There's got to be some type of consequence for losing, because you can't have Miami at 78 million and the Dodgers at 389 million. Because no matter what, even if Miami wins, is that good for baseball?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Is because their biggest thing with the Dodgers is obviously Shohei Ohtani's their cash cow. I mean, they're getting everybody all internationally coming in with ticket sales.
They made $1 billion off of that, right?
That's what I'm saying. Right? And so it's like they did it smart.
Right? You can go get a Korean-born player, a Japanese-born player.
Yeah.
Right? That's the reality. Like, and then you get an entire different market. You can open up blackouts.
Yes.
How much money's there? Social media could be better. Like if we did the same thing NBA did in the MLB when it comes to social media, I think it'd be more player-centric, but we don't do that. I think the MLBPA had a huge miss when they didn't start buying the regional networks. Think about that. Think about the power that would have been.
Oh my
Now the
gosh.
Braves are doing the Braves vision. I think it's going to take off. You're in media. I think teams taking control changes everything, because then they can double down. For example, I work for Sportsnet Pittsburgh and the Pirates. They fight over the same sponsorships, right? So now the Braves can literally stack sponsorships and do it tenfold or 10x, because it's one sponsorship. You're touching all these areas where these regional networks have kind of lost that trade, where the Dodgers are doing that. And they're doing it in other countries.
And then you're trying to integrate this into like the MLB app and everything else. And now you're trying to get your own separate app. Just, Michael, I've been ongoing about this because I do remember that. I do remember Fox having so many of the regional networks. I mean, you had Cox 96 for the Padres, Peachtree TV for the Braves, and then it was kind of scattered, but Fox was the dominance, right? Prime Ticket and West. And so I wish we could honestly go back to those days, because why not? It feels like, I talked with somebody about Bally Sports, and they said they were going to take over this for a long time. Then now it's FanDuel Network, and there's still all these ongoing issues. But to me, it's like, look, I want to be able to watch my team. I want to be able to connect any way that I can. Merchandises, watching the games. But we all know 162 games is a long season, but I want to be able to connect with the team every single day so I know what's happening and then who we can go and get. It is streaming has really come a long way in this, and it's so broadened and it's nuts. I can't even keep count on any of these now because they're so spread.
You're exactly right. And I think the one thing everybody that's listening, it should be just about the fans.
Yes.
Because the reality of it is like, I mean, when I was in the league, they're almost double league minimum. And I made it to the major leagues in 2010. I mean, it's not that far removed, right? It's a ton of money. We as players want to make sure that we know, like, hey, we are super grateful. I think when we get into these CBAs, we forget about what's most important, the fans.
Yes.
And if we could just open up Pandora's box and say, watch as much baseball as you possibly can. It doesn't have to be perfect production, but every spring training game should be on TV. Every one of them, right? Instead of fishing from 3 years ago, right? Throw on today's game, right? Yeah. And that's the thing. I think it's amazing to me how much people love the game. I know it's 162, but some people actually do that. They watch that, right? And I think if they just let the fans have it, I think they would realize how much money is available, even though they're making a ton of money through betting and everything else. But man, it's going to be a fight, and I'm sad for the fans. Genuinely sad for the fans.
So am I. And here's the thing. Just you wait until the A's get into Las Vegas, and then all of a sudden you're going to see that market start to go up. And look, as a born
and they're signing their dudes, like
right. See, I made this point as a Vegas born and bred native, now living in Colorado. I said, how much you want to bet? At some point, we're going to see Bryce Harper, Joey Gallo. I don't know about Chris Bryant with as far as the injuries are concerned, but all these guys, I was just a 7th grader when I saw Bryce Harper going in to go and get his GED at CSN.
So, yeah.
And so I'm like, all these guys together in Vegas, that'll tell you the story. But I will say, though, because the teams here, so the Pirates, it's going to be an interesting season, and you nailed it on the head. They finally spent the money. I laughed at that because finally they are, because they know they're being singled out and said, oh, crap, we need to do something. Now they got Marcell Ozuna. You got the top prospect right now who's just crushing balls. And so we know this is a young team. I love watching O'Neal Cruz. The kid is stupid sick. And then you got a couple others that I think have a very bright future. But Michael, when you played up and in here, I remember watching your debut, and I watched you play there in Pittsburgh, and you had Kutch, you had you had all these guys that you played around with, and I'm like, man, Pittsburgh got some attitude, and I love it. What's the focus for Pittsburgh this year?
That's the thing. You said it best right there. We had attitude. I think we need to remember we are Pirates. We are living in the city of champions. A lot of people don't know that, right?
Yep.
There's a lot of rich history here, even in the Negro League, right? Homestead is here. Yep. That's where Josh Gibson played. Some of the most historic players of our time have played here, right? We're the second oldest franchise. We've played the second most games. And I think really diving in and holding on to that history, I think Cooper going into the Hall of Fame last year, Maz, God rest his soul, just passed away, and hearing about his home run, I think never losing that. We have one of the best players that ever played in Clemente. And then you were talking about Kutch, a dear friend of mine. Like, I think when you think about Pittsburgh baseball, you think about the gritty, the rough, the tough, the guys that just scratch and claw to get that one run to win. And that's what we're going to be. No matter who we go get offensively, we are going to win on pitching and grit. Because that's what it's been from day one. Yeah, they had the big boppers in the 70s, but the reality of it is, we just need to hit enough. The city's going to back us. That's historically been seen. They love winning. I think the excitement that they did PR-wise, even if they weren't in on Schwarber, they were in on every guy that was the best available player. And that's something they do in the draft, but I've never seen anybody do it in free agency. We literally did it. I'm sure they're glad Schwarber didn't sign because he would have screwed up everything. And I think they nailed a trade. I think they're still going to trade possibly get another arm for us because we need one more. But yeah, they've done a great job of doubling down with pitching. We have the best pitcher on the planet, maybe one of the best pitchers of all time, Paul Skeens, and we have the best prospect, historically good prospect. I mean, talk about the only people that have put numbers up like him are Cunha, Andrew Jones, Ken Griffey Jr., like the best of the best in the minor leagues. So he's probably going to make the team. And you're looking at O'Neal Cruz. So up the middle, Paul Skeens, Connor Griffin, and O'Neal Cruz. Those are 3 guys that are in 5A. I say 5A, meaning they should be playing on a different planet.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be national attention. It has been constantly all spring with Skeens and Connor Griffin. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the city because we have an incredible fan base. They live and die by it. And sometimes I ask them, sometimes I'm like, hey, do you like losing? They're like, no, we just like it all. But we want to win. And I think the time is now. But the biggest thing is, can they come together and find that grit? And I think Donnie Kelly at the helm, a Pittsburgher, married Neil Walker. We called him the Pittsburgh kid, played second base. His dad played here. You're talking about getting in deep with roots. And I think you win with roots. If you look at every team that made the playoffs, right? They all have roots. They have guys that have signed here for a long time, guys that are bought in, and they love the city that they're in. Like what Toronto did last year. Toronto bought into the team, spent $300 million at that Rogers Center, and it took off, not just for the players, but for the families and everything. That's what it's about. You just got to create that culture of not only you're going to be taken care of, we appreciate you, thank you, but we're going to go out there and win because we're in this together, rooted deep.
Man, if you could give me the list of responses from all of the diehard Pittsburgh people out there so I can send that directly to Artie Moreno so he knows what a culture looks like, especially for the Angels.
I'm on downtown.
Oh, man. What a great show that we had here, man. Michael, appreciate you for coming on by and sharing your insights, man. I'm excited for World Baseball Classic. I mean, it's a fun tournament. You get a chance to see all these guys play, and it's just so good to see our international pool get. This is the best year, honestly. We kicked it off with the Olympics. We got the World Baseball Classic, and then come down in June, we got the World Cup. It's like, can it get any better than this in 26?
No.
And then with the baseball season, I mean, I'm in for the long ride. I'm strapped in. I got my popcorn ready. I'm ready for this year. Michael, appreciate you, man. Take care of yourself and go Bucks, because Pittsburgh, get ready for this season.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, and God bless you, brother. And it can get a little bit better. 1, the national anthem's playing. We're on that top shelf. And then 2, Pittsburgh Pirates get to that World Series.
Oh, let's do it. I'm all for it, man. I love it. Spicy. Love it. God bless, man. Take care. We'll see you.